This is an example of someone saying something when they don't understand where I'm coming from because they haven't taken the time to get to know me. And this is why it's important for me, particularly, to give so much context. No matter how much some people say, hurry up and get to the point. If I get straight to the point, I will end up receiving replies, answers, feedback that sound exactly like this. What in my topic sounded like I'm just saying that families just inherently work. The whole point of my living without a family video is for me to express how not having a family had affected me up until that point. The loneliness, the lack of security, the feeling of not being safe, no one to recur to, not feeling confident, having a degree of your self esteem being affected because you don't check in with people who you know are gonna pick you up even when you're a complete mess. I was simply attempting to describe how my lack of a family affected me, why I don't have a family, and why I needed what I did not get from them. I'm basically trying to define what it is that I needed from them. Now, that video was made a long time ago. I sincerely do not remember much of what I said. I remember based on the pieces that people may leave a reply to. And I can guarantee you that if I were to make a part two of that after all these years, it's either going to sound just about the same or just about the same but with some improvements considering the latest developments in my personal life, thus involving my family. I still haven't seen them outside of my dad, maybe twice in the past 10 years, outside of my brother, whom I've seen. He lived with us for a little bit during the year, I think it was 2019. I sincerely forget now, 2020. And that was a few months. After that, I've seen him maybe twice. My mom, of course, whom I have been with my entire life up until Monday. Needless to say, my nuclear family simply did not serve me in the way that I needed. I'm just taking the time to reflect on it, express myself, explain why, most importantly, describe the consequences that has, because this is something that happens to a lot of people, and the comment section under that video is very refreshing to see that I served as the catalyst for that conversation to happen, at least here in my space. I'm not trying to say I invented the topic of having no family, therefore I rule it, it was my idea, nothing like that. You guys know that I'm not here to compete. And when you're not here to compete, you don't care about those things. Everything that I have put up in my channel up until this point, unless I say this idea came from whatever website, or a customer did this to me, therefore, blah, 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 or a manager told me this, that, and the other. Unless I express the reference, then everything, every single topic ever that has been expressed here has come from here and here only. It's all based on my experiences. For me, at this point, I sincerely don't know what the perfect family for me looks like because I have never really imagined the perfect family. I'm just trying to go over what made my family not work. I know that every family is going to have their problems, but everybody can say at some point, within reason, if this applies to you, don't mention, what about the adopted people? What about the fostered people? We're not discussing that. Let's just assume you guys know that I like to invite whataboutisms, but in this case, for the sake of simplicity, I will express that because I don't want you to think that I don't have the capacity of imagining people are born without families or people are giving away this and that. The point is that that's not the point. So that's why I'm trying to neutralize it and dismiss it from the get-go. We will discuss that another day. But seriously, I'm just trying to express The family that I had, this is what worked, this is what didn't. And these are the consequences of what worked and what didn't. At this point, sometimes when I try to imagine my family's involvement, I'm so used to being guarded and sheltered and by myself and not opening up and in an extreme recluse state that even if my version, my idea, what I imagine a perfect family to be like for me was offered to me, I'm not sure I would be able to take it. It would have to be an entire readjusting project, and I'm just not sure my life supports that. If I can get rid of my job, sure, I will make that my full time, making things work with my family. But if my life is going to continue the way it is, and now I have to incorporate the stress of maintaining and cultivating this relationship, it ain't gonna work. I'm telling you. And on top of that, you guys know that I don't believe in overworking myself. And that's one of the first things that would have to go. I'm going to worry about what's actively addressing my subsistence. Those things are simply not negotiable at this stage in my life. For me, I think my version of the perfect family is the one that I go through challenges just like everybody. I express them, and they may either offer a solution, maybe something that they have observed that I haven't tried, or something they believe could help, because I'm always open to that. I know sometimes people aren't sure if when someone says something they want advice or they just want you to listen. I'm always someone who's looking to be oriented about the littlest of things. I don't get defensive if you try to coach me on something, but understand that I may coach you on your coaching. That is definitely gonna happen, because if there's something wrong with your idea, I want to feel welcome into debating you on it. You guys know that that's where I thrive. I like to healthily argue and debate things. Another thing that my family would be useful with is whenever something happens in the nucleus, that they are responsive people. And an example of that I can provide is, unfortunately, when mom had her procedures, I was not exactly the most present and most supportive. That shit terrified me. I'm like, this is once again occupying my time, occupying my resources, and I don't think it's fair that since the family is far and they cannot contribute, here I am having to contribute like I have a messy life. I'm not a parent, I'm not married, and I have done that deliberately to maintain myself simple, to the level of simplicity that I desire and the level of complexity that I'm willing to take. So here is a complexity developing that I didn't prepare for or ask for, and I'm not being coached with, and I'm just expected to know what I'm doing and react to it favorably, when at no point in my entire life have I had a season in which I can say I had fun. My brother, for instance, he got to be in the Air Force. He had a great time there. He enjoyed that, and he has had multiple seasons in which he had moments of prosperity. I have never experienced prosperity, not even emotionally, physically, and financially, none of that. In a sense, it's like, you know what I mean? Y'all like to occupy me because, again, as a simple person, you assume that in my life there aren't any problems, and therefore you can just load me with stuff. Editing Zam here. Basically, my family loves to recur to me as a resource, let it be for my computer abilities, for the little bit that I could provide, maybe financially, or now that I am a driver, for support with taking them places like the airport and whatever. But there's never any investment in me, any reinvestment in me. Oh, okay. I'm taking and taking and taking and taking and taking and asking and asking and asking and asking from and for things from you, but I'm never giving back. That is my saltiness. Not being invested in, but you request from me a lot. That imbalance is where my issues come from with my family. At least with my mom, I don't have any regret, because I know I did what I could. I have to take care of myself. I have to continue to work. I cannot overdo it. And on top of that, what about my mental and emotional stability? To the outsider, you may look at that as me being selfish and me being immature because I'm not willing to sacrifice things. And what about the sacrifices that she made, this and that? And I'm like, as far as I know, last time I checked, she is the parent, I am the kid. That expectation that the kid owes something to parents. I mean, sure, you guys did stuff, but remember what I always say: if you had not fulfilled your duties as a parent, your responsibilities, then you would have gotten in trouble. So maybe some people are responsible parents because they don't want to deal with the problems that accompany that. Not just on the legal aspect, financial aspect, which that is a real concern to have, but also the consequence if you're a smart person of maybe if I neglect my child when they're in their formative years, that's going to give me headaches in the future that maybe are best prevented. That is the point. With me, I just wish that I got to a point in which I felt the family's presence and at least we can share the burden. Like, okay, today I can pick up Ma from the clinic. What you'll do is get her the food, and then what you will do is take her to her next appointment. And what you will do is help her load and unload off the car, off the bed, things like that. But when all of that shit rests upon one person, especially one person who's young, doesn't get support, is trying to build, tries to juggle too many things at once, gets little to no respect and love and attention and affection and anything like that, yes, I will become salty. And that was the point of my original Life Without a Family that I have been taking the time to construct throughout the channel. Pretty much anytime I talk about my family, look at it as a new installment into that video, the Life Without a Family. Anything that sounds like family issues, problems with my father, all of that, look at it as another installment to that video. It's not that the video encompassed in its entirely how I feel about family. That was up until that point in 2016, I believe is when I posted that. That is how I felt based off what I had experienced up until that point. So for you people to be leaving fresher comments underneath that video, and this comment isn't even that new, this comment is from a few years, I happened to screenshot because I knew that I was going to one day describe it further, and that day just happened years later. And that's the magic of me being mature enough to not feel pressure by, oh my god, I gotta reply to this immediately. Had I responded to this back then I probably wouldn't have been able to express what I just expressed because, say, mom's procedures hadn't happened, her moving out hadn't happened, my recent frustrations with my father hadn't happened, my experience living with my brother hadn't happened. In 2016, I would have never believed you if you told me that my brother was going to temporarily come back home. Would not have believed you at all. And that is the magic of waiting. You have to learn to wait and not react based on temporary, immediate emotions. I don't know about you guys, but that, to me, is a trait of maturity. Do with that what you will. I'm not saying that the way I'm doing things, it's the right universal way to do things. Since it's working for me, it'll work for you too. You need to try it. It's, again, anytime I put something out here on this channel, it's based off my experience, my personality. I have invested so much time in my character development here that unless you have been with me for at least a year or two and you know a little bit about my past, which I like to very briefly review it during some of my installments to provide context, then you have no idea where I'm coming from. You really don't. It's not your obligation to find all of that out, but at least understand that I consider more points of view more than I have time to keep up with it and be expressive, especially considering that I never script this stuff and I never will because I don't have the need for it. I say what I feel like saying today, period. And back then, you also have to consider that at the time that I used to make videos, I had extreme limitations with technology. Everything had to be done in one take. And I remember that my phone, of course, only had like 16 gigs of memory. Not a whole lot that you can do with that. But now I have more tools. I have a better tool for that. But of course, you cannot think critically enough about that because you're not really supposed to be thinking about those external factors. You're only supposed to be thinking about the context that is presented to you. You clicked on the video, the topic was about no family. You shouldn't be thinking about, oh, this girl maybe ran out of things to say because maybe since she's super simple and had limited resources, it's not like she could put out something a little more complex or anything longer. She didn't appear to have prepared her message. She just appeared like she went outside, sat in her car, and just started talking. There isn't a script, nothing like that. You're not going to consider that. And that's something that I, as an audience member, because I am a simple creator, I can think about that when I watch other people's content. And that's why usually when I hear a story of someone else sharing their personal details, I feel like I can get a good feeling of a person, whether they're genuine or not, because me, as an authentic person, that's the energy that I'm emitting, and that's the energy I'm able to pick up on, and therefore I have the ability to discern when someone is being deceptive. Don't be mad at me. It's just the way things are. If you wish to develop this kind of intelligence, maybe expose yourself to this style of content because we're out here. If that didn't make sense, I promise you that is another pending topic that maybe within a year or two I'll get to. Because, that is the beauty of me being the sole manager of this thing. This is about me, and it will always be about me. Therefore, this gets done on my terms. The way that this turns out is great because it is not stressful in any way. I continue to enjoy this just like I did when I first started. And that's why I don't want to mix business or other people into this. And even if it sounds or looks self-absorbed to you, the good thing is I don't owe you anything. I can do whatever I want in here as long as I'm within the community guidelines. That is the thing that frustrates me about some people who consume social media. You just want things to be black and white and transparent and everything, which is fair, but you also cannot forget about how people can build things, manufacture things, just like you happily go to the movie theater to watch movies that someone spliced together and you have a great time. Just remember that online, the average person can also take the time to create a work of fiction that they're trying to sell you. But then there are the people like me who make it abundantly obvious what this is about, and I never tried to be shocking or manufactured. With that alone, you ought to get a good idea that I'm here for serious reasons. I'm not here trying to invent a character for you to like or hate in the name of milking some cash cow. I can't do that. And not because I don't have the capacity nor the creativity to, but because it's not what I like to do. I have hated fiction since I was in middle school. I only watch it for the sake of entertaining myself because other people invite me into it, but if it were up to me, I would never consume that stuff. It's just my style. Well, I hope that made sense, you guys. Even if I derailed off topic, I think it's important for me to describe to you what it is that possibly forged my thoughts, my mind, my abilities, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I could entitle this Me Eating an Apple and you'll never see the apple. I don't care. In my journals, I never give my entries titles. I draw a little star to represent the new entry, write the date, and start writing. I don't entitle it something like the day I met my cat or something like that. No, I just write. So with the channel, I hate that it asks for titles sometimes because I'm like, what am I supposed to entitle this? So I just try to take something that sums up what the matter is and label it as such. That's it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you soon.